Hey everybody, I'm Yvonne with Back to Earth Creations, and in this video I want to show you how to make scale mail shoulder armor in a slightly different pattern than the scale mail that I've taught in previous tutorials, and I'm really excited about this. So let's go ahead and get started. So to make the small size, which is the one that's the 10 scales down the center, these techniques, it's going to be the same regardless of how large or small you're making it, but for our small size, which this makes a very nice kind of petite shoulder cap, we have the center row is 10, and then 8, and then 6, and then 4, and then 2. And you can see how we have them set up. I guess you don't need that ring there on the end. I don't know, I kind of liked it. It's perfect for if you wanted to add like a chain fringe or something to the bottom edge. And so what I'm doing is I'm just going to go and flip these through. So once we have all of our scale strips woven and prepared, this is my preferred way of kind of assembling them all together, but this is not the only way, I'm sure. It's not about doing it right or wrong, it's about getting there. So, you know, you may like to start from the tip and then just like weave your way down that way. But my Randy helps me with this, so he likes to make the strips and then I weave them together. So what I'm going to do is we're going to be starting here at the bottom, and I'm going to be weaving from like this side over. So I'm going to skip this ring and I'm just going to hook through 2 and 1 on the bottommost. So this is just like a European 4-in-1, but you just kind of have to ignore the fact that the scales like exist. Though my goal is to have the scales line up with each other. I want all of the things in that row. So this ring is going to be in line with that ring that we just added, in line with that ring there. I'm going to try to zoom in. Hopefully that will be helpful. And then, yeah, from here it's just like standard European 4-in-1. I'm going to hook through 2 rings and then hook through 1 and 2 and close. I'm going to bring this up a little closer to the screen so that you can see what it is that we've done. And I am totally open to suggestions of different ways to weave this too. So ideally, I'd be teaching this using 2 different ring colors, but I'm limited in what we have right now. So again, hooking through those 2. So one of the rings we had just gone through, plus a fresh one on each side. And then we'll close it. I do personally prefer to work on my work surface, nice and flat if I can. Because now you can see we've run out of, I'm going to add a ring to here, to our scale, just to help kind of bridge that gap. And we're going to want it to be laying nice and in line with the pattern. And now I'm going to hook through that ring that we just added, plus 1 that already had a ring through it, and then 1, and then the next one, and then close. So I really do hope that this is helpful to you guys. And now you can see how that's still not quite sitting right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hook through here, and then I'm going to hook through 1, 2, just to continue and tighten up and close down that European 4-in-1 kind of triangle edge. So now while we're here, I'm actually going to take 3 rings, and I'm going to hook through 1, 2, and close, And then I'm going to hook through 1, 2, and close. So I'm just kind of tapering and reducing this corner. This will be the ring that I'll probably end up swapping out for a stainless steel ring that has a clasp hooked to it, and that'll be where we attach the elastic that goes underneath the arm. But that's how I taper off the end. Very pleased with that. And now we're going to move in to the next row. And so if you want, we can go ahead while it's fresh in my mind and just add that spare ring. So I highly recommend that you already be proficient and familiar in European 4-in-1 chainmail pattern, as well as proficient in weaving traditional scale mail. Not necessarily just in strip form, but having those things already figured out, I think is very helpful. To me, it's very helpful to already, kind of be able to recognize the patterns of the 4-in-1 and how it ought to be laying and things. And you'll see sometimes it just doesn't want to lay quite right. It lays correctly when it's draped over a shoulder. So now again, I'm going to skip this ring, and I'm going to just hook through 1, and then 1, 2. And we'll want to check and make sure that those are in line with each other. I don't know if you can hear the neighbor revving their engine. I don't know what on earth. This is like at least the second time they've done this today. I hope whatever they're doing, they get it figured out. But there we go, getting woven through that away. Just the joys of living in town. Okay, and then we're gonna, and you can change the angle and stuff. 1, 2, and then 1, 2. And sometimes things will lay a little odd. You just gotta poke it till it lays right. And this shrinks the scales quite a bit. Like, they're much longer before we weave. But again, it really lends itself to a nice drape whenever it's going over the shoulder cap. So 1, 2. Foomp, foomp. Now this is probably the most awkward angle to be coming in at this for, but it helps me to be consistent. I get lost if I start from the, tip top of the scale. So I start from the bottom, skip the 1, and work my way up. And it helps me to have them in alignment. And really, you could do it however you like. If you're weaving it and it comes out where the scales are not in line with each other, I don't think that's a bad thing. My goal is to be consistent. So if my scale's a little askew out of alignment, I'd want to be consistent about that placement so that they're like staggered. And here we are hooking onto that additional ring that we added, and then hooking through 1, 2, and then close, and then we're going to hook through 1, 2, and 3. And so now you can kind of see how this is starting to take form. And now we're going to do that next row, though I think you're getting the idea. We're going to hook through just the one on this bottom scale, the kind of leftmost ring, and then we'll skip this one and we'll hook through 1, 2. And this is helping us to get that diamond shape where it's a little offset, like tapering down this way. And again, you don't have to do your shoulder armor like that. You don't even have to make shoulder armor out of it. This is just how I'm doing it. Hooking through 1, 2, and then 1, 2. Each time that I'm placing a ring, I'm wanting to hook through the topmost, like, or right handmost, if we're working towards the top of the piece. I want to hook through this ring and this ring, as well as this ring and this ring. So let's do a few that are like ultra zoomed in like this. So we're just hooking 1, 2, and then 1, 2, and we're going to give that a close just as best as we can. And now we're gonna, and sometimes whenever I do this one, I like to have my rings opened just a little wider than what I typically might, just because it helps me get that weird angle of hooking through 1, 2, and then it just whoop, just comes up because of the shape of the ring and how the scales and everything are laid out. It just slides right on, and then we're gonna close it, and then we're gonna do another one. It's nothing if not repetitive, you guys, and don't hesitate to turn the piece around. I don't want to be turning my hand in a bunch of weird, complex, you know, possibly, if I do it a bunch, painful angles, when I can just go with my piece. And what I mean by that is I'm going to turn it this way so that I can hook through. Oh, let's open that one just a little more. Choose our battles. So we're going to hook, and then just turning it, it almost just slides into place. I said it almost just, there it goes. It slides into place. Boop. And there we go. We're just going to continue weaving this around. And closing that ring. Hooking through 1, 2, and then 1, 2. With these rings that we're adding, we will never be hooking through a scale in this step. And I want to make sure that I'm not hooking through any of the rings that I had just added. Like, let me show you some examples of what's incorrect. So hooking through like that, I don't want to be coming through the center of any of these rings down the middle. And if you do a ring and it's not in the right place, you just take it out. And I am not above, if I'm like real frazzled with a project, I will just take my metal cutters and I will get in there and I'll just cut the ring out if I'm frustrated enough with it. But normally I have a bearing on myself, and I'll just, you know, like take a deep breath, maybe take a break from the project, and then come back to it and just kind of undo my stitches, which is, you know, unweave my rings, I guess. So we're hooking through 1, 2, 1, 2. Letting the angle of the ring and the positioning of the project work for us if we can. And sometimes some of the scales, you just gotta poke them till they lay right. This one's been flopping wild this whole time. I'm just gonna, I don't worry about it until I'm there. We're gonna burn that bridge when we get to it. opening up that ring just a little more, hooking through 1, 2, and 1, 2. If this is your first time doing this project, or if you just think it'd look cool, because quite frankly it would look really cool, you can use a different ring color to join your scales together. And that way, when you're looking at it from like the front, like how cool would it look, you guys, to have this, but then with like an electric blue or something peeking between the strips of scales, you know, or a red, or, you know, just something, just that row of rings. Like that would look really cool. So you can use it as a design element, but it's also very helpful in being able to identify which rings are supposed to be going what where. Did we add a bonus ring onto that one? I don't think we did. So I'm going to hook through. And the way that I check is it's the this tip scale should have a total of 3 rings going through it. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. It helps me tremendously to think of chainmail and scale mail in the sense of like a pixel grid. You know, so it's like there's going to be, if it were square, I'd be having a 4th ring coming out here, and it'd keep everything, you know, like how this section is, where it's that scale has 4 rings in it, that ring has 4 rings in it, that scale has 4 rings in it. Hook, hook. Do, do, do. And then we'll do one more, and then I'm gonna meet you back here on the decrease side so that you can see how it is that we work, because I work up one side to the highest point, like longest point in the center, and then I'm going to work down the other side. So there's how that's sitting. And that's how it's looking from the front. I think that's cool. It's very cool, actually. And I'm brainstorming. I don't know how to do it yet, but I'd really love to be able to figure out how to do, like, with the like European 4-in-1 chainmail bikini tops, where we do it at like a 45-degree angle, and there's like a seam. I know it's not exactly a 45-degree angle, but that's just what it's called. And then we use a 6-in-1 to like gather the top edge. I'm wondering if there's a way that we can do that with this, with the incorporation of scales. I don't know, but it'd be cool. All right, I'll meet you guys here for the next step. So now that we've gotten the longest, what I think of as kind of the spine of the piece that everything else is kind of growing out of, we are going to start the decrease. So now I still keep weaving it in that same direction, but now I'm going to skip one ring here. So I'm just going to hook through 1, 2, and then I'm just going to hook 1 here on the tip. On the bottom tip of our new scale row. And then that sets the tone for everywhere else. Like, and that's why I start from this end, is because from on the top end I kept getting like lost in my alignment of like, where am I, who am I, what am I doing? It would get fiddly on me, and sometimes one of the rings will just kind of sit. It's not hooked through correctly. Because sometimes the rings will kind of sit behind the scales, but if you miss a ring, it'll let you know. Especially if you've done it enough to be able to, it'll kind of catch your eye that something's off. All right, there we go. But yeah, I'm always fiddly on this top edge, so I have more confidence and a better chance of getting through it when I start here on this end, personally. But the more you practice and the more you do it, the more you'll find your favorite way. And that's the best way. The one that's the most fun. It doesn't even have to be like necessarily like min-maxed to be the best way of making chainmail. Like as far as like time efficiency or, you know, touching the rings too many times or something. Whatever way you do it that brings you the most joy and gets you into your flow state, do that. Hooking through, boop, boop. But yeah, currently my favorite thing to do while weaving scale mail is either to listen to, we're working through, oh, we had just finished, is it Grave Diggers or Full Moon? We're listening to the Dresden Files. And I like listening to that while weaving, like a nice audiobook. Or one of my favorite musicians, Justin Johnson, I'll just put on some of his like dark blues slide guitar and then just be weaving scale mail, and I'll feel like the most, you know, frumpiest dumpling in the artificer shop, just weaving my scale mail armor. So escapism, it is what it is. But it certainly is fun to just lose yourself in weaving chainmail or knitting mail or however you think about it. I enjoy it more than I enjoy knitting. It feels very similar though in the concept of like doing knits and purls. But we're just hooking all the different rings together. Be sure to take frequent breaks is what we should be doing. Usually in between every long scale section, I'll take a break. And then whenever I start to get into the shorter scales, shorter scale strips, I'll do like 2 strips and then take a little bit of a break. Just to, you know, walk a lap around the room and stretch my hands and shoulders and then get back to it. We want to live to craft another day, so we gotta pace ourselves, especially if you're doing like a big project like a shirt or a coif or something, or a wall hanging. I had seen a meme that was in regards to self-care, but it was a picture of, you know, like a placard in somebody's, you know, shop or something. It said, if you don't schedule maintenance, your machinery will. And in regards to self-care, if you don't schedule it, your body will. So take care of your hands, take care of your, you know, your body so that you can keep crafting. Okay, so as we're getting to this tip, I'm going to hook through there. Is that correct? Yeah, I believe so. But we need to add that bonus ring to the tip of this scale. So that we can lay everything down. Bring that ring over. And we're going to hook through 1, 2, and then 3/4. And then close. And then we're going to hook through 1, 2, and 3. And so you can see how it wants to be longer on that outside edge, and that's why I go ahead and taper it down to a point on each side, is because we'll want to continue. Like, even if if this right here is all the shape that I wanted, I'd still finish this edge off the same way that I did this one, just finishing it into a European foreign one to get that spacing to stay consistent so that we don't get that weird distortion. You know, I say that, but then it lays perfectly fine. It doesn't always lay perfectly fine. It knows it's on camera. It's behaving. Alright, so we're going to bring that next scale strip into line. While it's on my mind, I'm going to go ahead and add that bonus ring, that third ring to the tip, top tip of the scale. Giving it as best of a closure as what I can. Oh, I can't even think about doing this with split rings. That would just melt my brain. I had done split rings on one project. It was this guy. And I love it. Like, I love these small scales. I love the stability and durability of the split rings. I don't want to work with split rings ever again in my whole life. And I keep this project to remind me that it's very cool. But this project broke me. And that was over, like, I think over a decade ago. So, or it's coming up close on a decade. So I'm perfectly fine with just using butted rings. Okay, so we're gonna hook through, how are we doing this? We're skipping one, and then hooking through 1, 2, boom, boom, and then we're gonna hook through 1. And then once we've got that set, we can just go up the rest of the line. So yeah, like I said, it's nothing if not repetitive, which I think is fantastic because it gives us lots of opportunity to practice. And on that second ring that we've added, I go through 2 that already have a ring in them, and then 2 fresh ones for that whole row that we're fixing to do. Then we're going to hook through 1, 2, and then we're going to hook through 1, 2. Okay, so come on over here. My husband just came in and showed me a very impressively long strip of scale mail, because this is the 16 scales that will be the center spine of our large shoulder piece. And so just to demonstrate, I'm going to abandon where we are currently. So this one was 10.
I don't think you can fit a 16 on screen.
I don't think I can. I think you're right, but I'm going to try. Imagine with me. But this center line is 10. So do you see how, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Look at how much it shrinks it to have it be woven. Do you see? Mm-hmm. And so I think while this looks cray long, I think it's going to shrink down
by about 2 rings.
I think by about 4 scales.
4 scales?
Yeah. And I think that's going to be, I mean, it will definitely be large, but,
okay,
you know, and we may prototype this and decide it's way too long and go with like a 12 or a 14, but we won't know till we try. He says, I can feel your hands hurting from here, honey. Oh, baby. You're such a hard worker, and I appreciate the heck out of you. But back to it. Oh, I'm reminded of the scene from, was it The Hobbit, or was it one of the animated Lord of the Rings, where the orcs are singing, if there's a whip, there's a way. That's the kind of work ethic we have around here. It's like, oh, that's nice. Get back to work. It is officially Dragon Con Prep 2025. So, if there's a whip, there's a way. So we are working hard to get some new armor made for in the booth to go with these pretty cool, if I say so myself, sculpted dragon heads that we've been working on, which I'm really excited about the new like helmet base that we're attaching them to. I'm hoping to make them more comfortable and stable to wear, as well as to increase their displayability for whenever you're not wearing it. If you have one and you're like displaying it in your house, I want it to be like super epic cool. And honestly, I just have a lot of fun making them, so it's a fun creative challenge to kind of let them evolve every year. And if you're wearing a dragon for a like crown headdress mask thing, you may as well be dressed up like a dragon everywhere else too, so hence the scale mail. Scale mail weaving intensifies. Okay, so on this scale strip, I think we have the idea on how to do the reduction. So, and what I mean by that is the taper back down from the other side. And if you need any help or if you have any questions, you can feel free to like snap a picture of your project and send us an email to backtoearthcreations@yahoo.com. But also we have set up here on YouTube our community page where subscribers to the channel, you don't have to be like a paying channel member or anything like that, just being subscribed, it keeps the trolls out a little. It at least forces the trolls to subscribe first. But you can post pictures of your work to the YouTube channel, almost like it's a Facebook group page, but it's just here on YouTube. And I'm really excited about that. And that way other crafters, you know, beyond just Randy and I, could be helpful to you. And, but yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. So hopefully, you know, if we can't be helpful to you, maybe somebody can be. And we'd love to not just see your work, but also, you know, well, like I said, be helpful to you if we can. Let's see, is that correct? I hooked through 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to give it a close, and then we're going to grab the tip. Oh yeah, that is so cool. Oh, I love scale nail and chainmail, you guys. That is very happy feelings intensifying. All right, let's do one more. And then it's going to be exactly the same past there to do, well, I mean, it's just the row of 2. We're going to take, if you don't want to see it, you can just skip it. But for the rest of us, let's do this together. So I'm skipping this one ring right here. Maybe we'll zoom in just a little. Skipping that ring, we're going to hook through 1, 2, boop, boop, and then 1. Like that, and we're going to give it a close. Do do do, do do do, do do do. While it's on my mind, I'm going to go ahead and add that 3rd ring, boop boop, to this one here. One, 2, and then 1, 2, and then close, and then hooking through, boop, boop, and then boop, boop, and then close, boop, 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 boop. Do, 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 do. And then as we come here to the tip and things aren't quite laying like how we want them to, that's all right. Just trust in the process. Don't focus on the far end. I just focus on the 1 fresh ring that I'm adding, the 2 that I just went through with the previous ring, and then 1 more. And we're going to give that a close. It also super duper helps that my husband goes through and opens all of my rings for me. I am a princess. So, and totally spoiled, but it's a definite quality of life upgrade to have someone do your, help you out with your rings. So if you have a friend who wants to learn to weave chainmail, that's a great project to start them on, is to have them just open and close a bunch of rings for you. It's good practice. They'll like buy them some pizza or something. And then hooking through 1, 2, 3 there on that final end. There we are. And then this is my favorite side to go down. It's all uphill. Each row's longer and longer until we get here, and then it's like, oh my gosh, we're just flying through it. Okay, so we're gonna skip the one on the tip, and then we're gonna go 1, 2, and then we're gonna go through 1, and then we're gonna close, and then we're gonna hook through 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2, and then close, I'm gonna go ahead and add the bonus ring bump here onto the tip, and close, hooking through 1, 2, 3, 4, and close. I'm gonna pick our work up just because I can, really. 1, 2, 3, 4, and close. And then we're gonna, that scale didn't like laying right, but we'll tidy it into place and hook through 1, 2, and then 3 to finish off that row. And then now we're gonna go 1, 2, just to bring this end down to a point, and then 1, 2, and close, and then making sure everything's laying just so, we're gonna hook through 1, 2, and close. So now the next step is to put this all together. And we will have down in the video description links to the elastic and to the rubber rings and to everything it is that we're using, but I like to use either a 1/4 or 1/2 inch or maybe even a 5/8, but elastic. And I'll show you how I hand sew that to make the little loops attached to a lobster claw clasp, and that way I can do a lobster claw on either end. And we do, I like having it to where the elastic can be replaced, because that way you can take the elastic off and wash it, because that goes right under your armpit. So it's going to be the spot that needs the most attention whenever you're doing maintenance on your armor. And it's also going to be one of the spots that, depending on if you're sharing it with a friend or if you go up or down sizes, you may need a longer or shorter elastic. So that being said, that'll be linked down below. And then doing the strips and the connection behind the neck. So you're doing great. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, so we have our 2 shoulder pieces made. We have our big old lobster claws clasps that are linked down below. Now these ones are significantly larger, but I did go ahead and make these stretchy. It's 2 of the from the Ring Lord 16 gauge 5/16 is the size ring equivalent, but it's EPDM rubber. And then I used 18 gauge 3/16 to connect them. All of this is linked down below. And I did that to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 units long. Boink, boink. But this is what our lobster claws will be attaching to. One on either end. And then I like to make a little Mobius flower. So I'm going to take one closed ring and put it on an open ring and then close it. And then put another open through those two. And it just makes such a cute little like charm. And then my preference is to use a stainless steel 18 gauge 3/16 inch ring. And I've pulled out one for each lobster claw clasp, and it's because I can only really fit one ring through here. I don't want it to be super bulky, but I want it to be super durable, hence the stainless steel. And so hooking through the lobster claw clasp and the Mobius flower, oh, these are so much more of a challenge on the hand to open and close, which is good. That means they will be very durable and hold up through lots of wear and tear. There we go. So that's how I like to do the clasp closure, because now whenever and this will make more sense perhaps in a bit, whenever we're putting this on the mannequin, you can hook anywhere along this stretchy segmented part. So that's kind of our extender chain and how it joins together, and that helps us to make it adjustable, and I think it's very pretty. This is not the only way of doing this, but it is certainly a way. So I'm going to set this off to the side, and we are going to be using, these are an odd size, I just need to use them up, so I'm sneaking them into this project here, but typically I would use the 16 gauge 5/16, same as what we used for our stretchy extender chain. Oh, these are so big though. Let me see if I can't find the right ring size. Like, I don't want to, well, I don't know. Let's see what happens when we use a larger ring size, because it might ruin it, and it might be perfectly fine. So we shall see. So the way that we're gonna, ooh, and we actually have a tool for this. I can see what ring size these are. I'm gonna guess it's a 16 gauge. It looks to be a 16 gauge 3/8 inch ring. So that'll be fine, or it won't. Let's find out. So here on the tip of our longest scale strip, whenever we were making this project, we had kind of just put an extra ring on the tip there. This is when I was still trying to weave from the top down. So I'm just gonna take these rings off. On your project, you shouldn't have to worry about that step, but okay. And then we're gonna place our ring just on top of the scale like that. And it's just like how we were doing before, but now instead of using a metal ring in between each of the scales, we're just using one of these rubber. And if you want, like if you think you're going to be very hard on your scale shoulders, you could use 2 rubber rings here to really, it'll still have some of that stretch, but it's going to be nice and durable. I don't typically find a need for that unless a person's like LARPing or something. But a lot of the costumes that we make for folks are kind of for like photo shoots or, you know, frolicking about the Ren Fair. It's not full, you know, full contact combat sort of stuff. And never would I ever use stretchy rubber rings or aluminum scales in like live steel combat. But I just want to be pretty when I wear my elf ears at the convention, so... that's my motivator for the armor. So you can see this is totally gonna work. And you can make this length here however long as you like. I like to do 5 scales, just because between that and the extender chain, it fits most human shoulders that come through the booth. And then we can always shorten or extend something on a custom basis for our clients. And I'd always rather make something a little long than a little short for if I'm making it for in our booth, because if we make it a little long, it's so much easier to shorten it down than it is to try to bring all of the different materials that we'd need to be able to extend all of the things in the booth. So we just make them a little long and then bring the scraps home with us and, you know, take them apart or rebuild them into something else. And, you know, so that's like for bracelets and necklaces and stuff. It's a lot easier to trim an inch of chain off of a necklace here and there than it is to bring a spool of each of the different kinds of chains that we used for all of our necklaces. So if that makes sense. So here we're 1, 2, 3. And it's got that lovely stretch, you guys. Oh, that's so nice. And then popping that on there. Hooking through. There's one. And then, oh, let's pick a good ring. And then 2. And then putting on our 4th scale. Sometimes when I get my scales from the Ring Lord, they'll be like a little oily. I just use some Windex whenever the piece is done I spray it onto a paper towel and then wipe the scales down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the 5 is going to be plenty. But again, like I said, I'd rather we have more than enough to be able to trim down to suit the client or whoever hopefully wants to take this home with them. There's a whole lot of functioning on faith here whenever I'm making stuff for in the booth that it's like, sure, somebody will want to buy this. I mean, I hope. And if not, I get to just roll around in my dragon's hoard of jewelry and armor. But probably my most favorite thing about selling our handmade art is the conversations that we get to have with other crafters. It's very inspiring and invigorating. So now I'm hooking through and attaching these rings as though it's still part of the European 4-in-1 weave. You could do it that way, or we can just do it kicking the 2-2 chain motif off. I think I like that one better. So that's what we shall do. And that's the tip. Well, not the tip, the stretchy part that goes over the shoulders. And now we'll do that same thing on the other side. So we have our strips together, and honestly on this size it fits me pretty well, and I'm relatively broad shouldered, but I don't mind a bit having that extender on there for when we're in the booth, because just because it fits me doesn't mean it's going to fit everybody who wants it to fit them. And then we can always take some of the scales off in the booth as well. So I am threading up just some purple thread, because it's what I have, onto a needle, just some random needle. I am not a seamstress, y'all, or anything like that. I'm just going to make a knot on the end of our thread, and I'm going to trim it down relatively close to that knot. We have some like 5 or 6 inch strips of not quite an inch, whatever width of elastic this is. It's a little wider than what I'd like, but it's what I have. And I have 4 of our small lobster claw clasps. Those are like 9 by 15 or 7 by 14 or something. I don't know. They'll be listed as the small lobster clasps down below. And I'm going to close 4 of these aluminum jump rings that are 16 gauge, 5/16 inch. You could use stainless steel ones, would be appropriate as well. Ooh, actually, I need to be, before closing them, I need to put the jump ring, or the clasp onto the jump ring. Oh, heck. Well, now I'm just going to have to open them all again. There's the closure. Putting that lobster claw clasp on there. Making sure we're getting a good, nice closure on that, because this is going to be in the delicate area of the underarm. We don't want anything pinching, we don't want anything snagging if we can help it. There we go. Excellent. So now we have our length of thread on our needle. We have our lengths of elastic. I'm going to set the project off to the side. And so from here, I'm just going to insert our elastic through our jump ring, and I'm going to fold it over, and I want like a 1/4 inch seam allowance at least. And you can probably do this better than me, but this is just what I'm doing because it works. I don't know if there's a proper way, but I'm threading through about 1/8 of an inch in from the edge, and then looping through the knot. So now that's bound off. And we could do an overlock stitch if I knew how to do that, but I don't. So I'm just gonna kind of whip stitch this around, because I don't want to interfere with the stretchiness of our elastic. So I'm just hooking through the back and front. This is very hard to, I'm realizing now these aren't the best colors to have used, but here we are. Pulling the thread through so we don't have any like ugly bumpy bits coming around there on the edge. 2, 3, 4. I'm just gonna do 5 because I like that number, and I think that's a perfectly valid reason to do anything in crafting. And then I'm just going to go back the way I came, hooking through, trying to not hook through the elastic itself, just this nylon or whatever polyester casing. And then I'm going to bind off on the edge, doing 5 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to do one last one that's a knot. And then I'm going to hide my thread back through my work to bind down that loose end. I'm going to pull it a little tighter than what is just relaxed, and then snip it. And that is how I do one end. And then I'm going to do the other end. And I try to have my raw edges be on the same side. And I like to have the lobster claw clasps facing the same way, just because. I'm going to remember to tie our thread. Whoop. Just a little knot there on the end. Snippy snoop. And then doing the same thing as what we had before, just sewing through. Let me try zooming in, and let me try putting a very bright light on it. Sewing through there, getting in between those. Oh no, I've got a bumbly knot. Gross. I hate it. Why is this happening? Ah. Oh, what have we done? Gandalf, no. Well, good news, it's early enough in the project. We could just snip it out if we wanted. I don't know what I've done. Why is this like that? Okay. So there's people who know more about sewing than me. What's happening here? Why is this like this? Yeah, I'm just gonna... Oh. I wonder if I sewed through my own thread or something. Alright. Choosing my battles. So I'm just gonna sew through. Let's try that again. A clever editor would cut that out, but I'm gonna leave it in because this is the reality of crafting. There's 1, 2. And now I'm just, because you can almost see how there's like little ridges. I just, every other ridge, I'm just coming through. Foop. 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 And I like to sit down and do just a batch of these at a time. You know, to kind of, if we plan on making, 5 sets of shoulders, I'll go ahead and try to have 5 sets of these prepped. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to come back the way we came. Boop. Boop. I wish I were better at doing like decorative stitches, but I'm just glad to participate. Though I'm open to suggestions. Then there's 1, 2. I'm just going to do 3 because we already had the 2 to start with, and then this last one I'm going to do as a knot. And then we're going to hide our thread through that way, pulling just a little tight, and then snipping. And that is how I do the little bit, because this stuff has quite a bit of stretch to it, and that is how I do the elastic for under the arm. Okay, y'all, so I want to show you how to put on your scale shoulders. Now, just for, I don't have this one all the way done yet, but this is our large size where we have 16 scales down the center line. And it would sit and give you about this much coverage. So, or on my beefier shoulder. So you can kind of see how that sits. And so typically, whenever, if I have this and it's sized to me, whenever I take it off, I just unclip that little hook there. And that way I can just bring it in and put it over my shoulders, like a little caplet. Now, when I'm putting them on myself, I'll have the elastics hanging down towards the back. And that way it just comes underneath the arm. And there'll be this ring hanging. So I got band-aids all over my fingers, and you just clip there in the front. And then you clip here in the front. So let's get this off the mannequin and I'll show you a closer look. And so here you can see, and if you wanted shorter elastic, you could have used an adjustable strap, but this is how that's looking. This is it across the back, and that's it there on the side. Now you can see we could have, this is an adjustment point. You can make these straps shorter. There's all the different ways that you can tweak this to make it perfect for whoever's going to be wearing it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me in this video. Please let me know down in the comments if you have any questions, comments, or ideas. And you can always feel free to send me an email if you have like a picture of your armor and you want to like troubleshoot something. I am here to be helpful to y'all. So however you need me, I'm here for you. And I will see y'all in our next video. All the links to everything pertinent are down in the video description. So like if you want to join our Happy Crafter Club, or if you want to shop some of what we have up on our website. I just realized neither of us are wearing our scale mail, but that's fine. This is the outro. Not to be to say hardly anybody watches it anyways, but if you're watching this, I appreciate the heck out of you, and I will see you in our next video. So until then, you guys, happy crafting. Mwah. Bye.